Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for finding time and joining us for the F&B Talks by the Restaurant Times. I'm Nikunj from the events team of the Restaurant Times. Before we start, a very quick introduction of what F&B Talks is all about. Well, F&B Talks by the Restaurant Times is a community bringing together people who seek a deeper understanding of the worlds of restaurant. We are building a free knowledge base from the world's most renowned restaurateurs, just like Mr. Shakir Haq, CEO of Empire Group of Restaurant, who is our speaker for today's session. Before we start, a very quick introduction of Mr. Shakir and the Empire Group of Restaurants. The Empire Restaurant was started back in 1966 and now is carried by its third generation. It is among the most loved restaurant chains in Bangalore with over 30 outlets across Bangalore, Mysore, and even an international outlet in Dubai. People from Bangalore who are watching this would know Empire Restaurant has been one of the most iconic places to eat out. And not only that, it's also called as the Bangalore's King of Good Taste. Mr. Shakir Haq is an alumni of IIM Bangalore. He has done his hotel management as well, and very early on in his life, he started working at Empire. In fact, he's also a motorsport enthusiast, and I read somewhere if he would have not gone into the hotel business, he would have become a biker someday. Welcome, Mr. Shakir, on the show. Well, let's begin. We will keep this session focused on getting as much insights from you and the experiences of managing the Empire Group of Restaurant over these years, especially during the COVID time. I would request, all attendees to put in their questions in the comment section so that we can pick up during the session as well. Uh, my first question to you, Mr. Huck, would be that, well, Empire Restaurant is known for its legacy and its taste. You have a base of loyal customers who have been eating out at Empire for years. Now, how do you see the pandemic changing the way people are going out and eating out, especially in your case, where the customers who have been going out at Empire are those who would go out every day and come to your stores? What has changed in this in the last 1 year? Please help us understand that.
As you know, Nikunj, it is our 54th year in business in Bangalore city. And, I'm proud of the fact that I'm able to steer the family business and legacy forward. So in the last 2 decades is where, we've grown into the number of restaurants that we are today. And as and when we were growing, we were also evolving at the same time, with the trends or the expectations and preferences of customers, and at the same time the industry trends also. So we adapted technology at an early stage, made the necessary changes that were coming in. So, and also widened our reach across the city to be available for every consumer. And if they want a quick meal any time of the day, starting 11 a.m. until 1 2 3 a.m. in the night. So you know there's a lot has been changed, as the fact that convenience is a major factor. With the fact that digitization is happening, convenience is getting better and better. You could sit at home, or you could sit in the office, or you could even sit in a park and place an order for your favorite meal or your dish. So coming back to the pandemic, yes, it was an unprecedented situation, and it was a shock to all of us. In the history of our business, we've never gone through something where we had to go through a lockdown, shut our restaurants. I think the only times we have shut is probably 10 12 13 years ago, when we were very less number of outlets. We would close on the day of Eid. So and post that, we've never had a day off for the restaurant. So with the pandemic in play, a lot has been changed. So though we were open in April and May doing just home delivery sales, we were just looking at 15% of our pre-COVID sales at that time. And as government came out with newer protocols and SOPs and gave us the freedom to reopen our restaurants, a lot of talks were happening in the industry, in the country, and we actually did not know or have any clue as to how are we going to take this forward, how are we going to receive our customers who want to come and dine with us. The home delivery part, the takeaway part was going on, but at the same time, dine-in was a big challenge. And the essential safety precaution is social distancing. And we've always had crowded restaurants day in and day out. So we were actually in a fix. What do we do? Then as news was coming out in various restaurants across the globe, in places like Paris, in places like New York City, where they were, introducing different ways of dine-in options, like, having glass barriers across the table, or having a, like a cubicle kind for each table, and having more open seating available. And then at the same time, what were the high touch points in a restaurant? And it could be the menu, it could be the door handle, there are multiple things. And at that time, yes, we started brainstorming. We started, and everything happened over Zoom, though we were not physically present in any office. And we started our discussions amongst the team, and we came out with various ideas on how we can go about. The contactless dining program was, the talk at that time, and people were actually figuring out how to introduce such a thing. And we sprung into action. We had a in-house tech team who was working around the clock, managing our softwares and hardwares. So with them, we developed something where we called it the digital dining program, because we believed that it cannot be 100%, contactless. So we gave it a different approach, looking at a digital dining program. And at the same time, we had to look at various aspects in that digital dining program, and how would a customer walk in, and how would we receive, how would they be seated, what would be the seating arrangement, and how was the service going to be done. There were multiple factors that we had to think and come about. In that, an interesting thing was, we made these entrance kiosks, wherein a person would sit and take the details of the customer walking in, like the name and number, and then check the temperature, and then make sure they're sanitized and they're wearing a mask. And then they walk in, choose a table by the host. We would seat them. Then there would be a QR code on every table, and they could just download the app and go about making their order. And it was a dynamic menu suited for every branch. So what was available in that branch would be displayed on the phone. They could place the order, they could place a running order, and once the order was placed, the order received, the kitchen, the service guys would come with a trolley. So that's what we introduced. We had to have minimal contact. So when you say minimal contact, we don't want our staff touching the plates, touching the customers wouldn't be comfortable with that. So we had, heating equipments to keep the plate warm. We had spoons and cutlery and whatnot, and everything. The food would be kept on a trolley, which would be then pushed to the respective table. Keep it aside for them. The customer would pick up their own plates, pick up their dishes, pick up their water, pick up everything by themselves. Once they are done, the trolley comes back to them. They leave it on the trolley for us, and we clear the table. Once they're gone, we go about a sanitization process. So that, was something we tried and tested multiple times. We had mock trials happening when the restaurants were shut. We had the tech to be up and ready without any glitches, because the customer, it is a new thing for the customer too. Usually they come to their favorite restaurant. They don't even look at the menu. They just directly blindly order. But we couldn't go through that process. There was no order taker. Where the person would stand and take the order. So how would customers go? So we had to make it really convenient and also seamless at the same time.
Correct.
And came June 8th, and we started this program only in about 7 restaurants in the city. We did not open all the restaurants at the same time, because there were multiple issues with even staffing. So we chose 7 restaurants across the city, and introduced the new digital dining program, and let out the word through social media. And yes, we even had posters and collaterals placed out at restaurants.
Correct.
People were still confused on how to go about, and then we placed TVs in every restaurant, and showing them a similar video, just a small video of how they go about the dining experience. They could come to the kiosk, give their details, have their temperature checked, then walk into the restaurant, go about the ordering process. And it was a challenge for us to bring about the word to the customers, and how would we market the same, promote the same, how can we give the confidence to the customers that it is safe and reliable for you to come and dine with us, and this is what we've been doing. So again, we went back to our boardroom, had brainstorming discussions, how could we start a campaign on how we could promote our new dining experience. Then fortunately, a team member mentioned, why don't we use Danish Seth?
Right.
Danish is a very popular social influencer. based out of Bangalore, and Danish Seth's family and our family go back ages in terms of a relationship. So I was like, okay, it's a great idea. And my brother immediately called Yasmin auntie, that is Danish Seth's mother. She's their manager. And she was delighted. She was overwhelmed. It's like, why not? We would want to associate with Empire because, we've grown up eating Empire. And 2 days later, Danish comes down with his team. We discussed the script. It was all planned well. 3 days later, they come down. 5 hours, they finish the shoot at the Church Street outlet. And it came out, great, wonderful. It was an overwhelming response for us. So that actually, gave the confidence to the people that, yes, why don't we give it a try? Because the way he explained, the way he portrayed the whole scenario was, something very delightful.
Correct.
So with that, we gained a lot of response there. There were almost, 1.5 million views on the same, and most of these people who saw the video was via WhatsApp. So
Right.
it had become viral. So that had become viral. It went on for like a month and a half, where we would receive the same video being circulated. So with that, it gave us a lot more confidence. And
Hmm.
at the same time, we were working at the back end on how could we bring down the staff, because there was a major shortage of staff also. And since
Absolutely.
the demand was increasing, we had to be well equipped. So, yes, the right kind of planning helped us, and getting into action at the earliest time, it did save us the trouble.
Correct.
And it was slow and steady. But, people did accept the fact that this is going to be the new normal, and they were comfortable dining with us. But like I said, it was very slow, So we figured that there's going to be a major shift in terms of the dining experience.
Hmm.
And starting from June until September, it was very slow. We were just doing about 30% of our pre-COVID dine-in sales, and there was a steady increase in takeaways and home deliveries. As we all know, man is a social animal. How long can you be kept
Correct.
between four walls and not go out and experience something which you've been doing all your years? And old habits die hard.
Hmm.
So with that, we again started bringing out better value combos. So, and giving out a certain discount and some freebies and some loyalty points to the customers who would dine in. So that way, customers started coming in more and experiencing the dining thing. They really missed out on going out and eating at their favorite restaurant. So, and now I would say we've achieved about 70% of our pre-COVID dine-in sales. So what we anticipated would happen actually did not happen. And since the vaccine is almost here, I am very positive and optimistic about the dine-in business increasing further. Once the vaccine is out, people are going to be, forgetting about Corona and coming out like never before. So I think there will be a good demand and increase in our dine-in sales coming, but it's going to be a very gradual increase. And it's not going to be a sudden increase, because Bangalore consists of about 30% of migrant population. And when I say 30% of migrant population, 70% of the migrant population belongs to the IT sector. And the IT sector has been working from home until 2021 of June.
Hmm.
So not many people are here present, so they're all back in their hometowns. But slowly, people are coming back, because, there are restrictions when you are in your hometown with regards to internet. So work from home means, high speed connectivity. So a lot of these people are from native towns. There's no good connection. So they're all coming back slowly. And we seeing, a lot of customers who did not order from us for the past 3 or 4 or 5, 6 months, who were not present in Bangalore. Orders are starting to come again.
Right.
We've been closely monitoring the numbers, the revenue, the customers, very closely monitoring, and, looking at any kind of a change or shift anywhere, so we can, act accordingly. So, so far it's been good, and I'm pretty optimistic that it would get better in the coming months, though it would be slow, but it would be steady.
Right.
So we
And
should hope for the best. Yeah.
and how is online ordering or takeaway working out for you? As you mentioned, 3-4 months back it was 30% of your dining, and now it's 70% of dining.
Yes.
Is the trend of online ordering, increasing, and what is it that do you see that growing further? And is there something that you're trying to build together to make sure that your supply chain and delivery business becomes more efficient in the coming months?
Yes. See, the online business has been very steady and stable, I would say. And again, the growth has been very gradual as people are coming back into the city. They are getting back online and ordering food from their favorite platforms. So I think we are, working towards bringing in better efficiency. And when you look at the response time and the processing time for the order, we are trying to look at having every delivery going out within 30-35 minutes, the customer reaching. So we've been having a lot of issues in terms of delivery, because at peak times we're not able to go about delivering. So what we had done is, we reduced the menu also. In fact, we optimized the menu in such a way that we looked at 1920 numbers, the items that we really sold. So we had about 150 odd items in the menu, and right now we are just selling only 45 items on the menu. So we understood, what are the best sellers, the most popular ones, the classic dishes. We looked at all that and looked at 1 years of sale. With that, we thought it's better to make it more efficient and faster, rather than having so many items and confusing the customer. So the offering needs to be, value for money, because it's not just quality or taste people are looking at. They're also looking at value in a situation like this. So we reworked the whole menu, went through the pricing strategy once again. We looked at portion control once again. We looked at sourcing and processing also altogether. So altogether, we looked at the forward backward linkage. Is it being seamless enough? And we've achieved close to about 75% of what we actually planned. The rest of the 25 should be happening in another 3 to 4 months. So I think I would say that we are in a much better position than we were in a year ago. Though it was not a pandemic then, a year ago the costs were much high. We were struggling with our cash flows even just before the pandemic, because we did see a dip in business towards the end of 2019 also. Multiple factors concerning poultry prices, vegetable prices. So it was, being the cash flow were being hit. But thanks to expert advice and re-strategizing and restructuring the whole financial model, we are in a much better position since October, I would say. We've been broke even, and we are looking forward to increasing our revenue, that
Right.
achieve the targets that we've already laid out.
Correct. So I think good point that you made about here is, how do you make yourself financial strong, going forward. I remember last time when we spoke, we were talking about that. Yes, during the festive time, you saw the demand going up, but now you were also very cautious that the demand is not going to be at the same peak from the January
Right.
to March quarter. There could be a lull that could come in future. And what are the ways in which restaurants can actually make sure that they are financially stable going forward? Any tips on that, and any suggestions on what is it that
Yes,
we can
absolutely. For us, the pandemic would be, I would look at it as two aspects. One, it was very problematic, but at the same time, it was also a blessing for us. It gave us ample time to reflect on our mistakes the past 1 decade. Where did we go wrong? What didn't we do right? So again, brainstorming and speaking to people who are experts in this industry in terms of finance, taken some expert advice, got in touch with a lot of old acquaintances at my IIM Bangalore professors. So a lot of people that I got in touch with, because I had ample time and everybody was free at the same time. So I would go about having a Zoom call probably 2-3 hours every day, one with the team, one with probably the consultant, one with friends, getting more ideas. So what we first did was, in terms of being more financially stable, we looked at the menu. The first, because we understood that from sourcing to processing to service, we wanted to know what was the first point of profit. So the first point of profit for us is sourcing. So since we have centralized processing and productions, we source everything centrally, and it comes in large quantity. So we went about looking at what are we sourcing? Are we sourcing right? So we made a couple of changes there, changed a few vendors who have been with us for many years, and were not competitive enough in the market, and who were not even consistent. So we looked at newer vendors there, better pricing from their end, better credit facilities from their end, better payment terms from their end. So that was one. Then we got into the raw material aspect. the raw material aspect did enlighten us in a way that we did have items which have been there for the past 3 or 4 decades. We never looked at costing because they were all selling in high numbers, and we always lived in that misconception that they were all high margin items. So we had a detailed look into our menu and understood what was the high margin, what were the low margin items, and we understood what needs to be pushed more and what can be pushed less. So with that, we optimized the menu in a way that we could save in terms of raw material cost, and what should be pushed more, what could be upsell more, so things like that. And then we looked at the discount factor, that we looked at the commissions that we were paying out to aggregators. Discounts, we were probably going about overall about 10 to 12%, and we started benchmarking things like in terms of the discounts we can offer, the commissions that we would be paying. Then another thing was we did is in terms of space utilization. We are operating about 34 or 35 outlets. We looked at two outlets which were very less loss making outlets, but we did not see any scope for further improvement in these two outlets. So we took a hard decision of closing them down, and it did not go well with the landlord, because landlord was losing a consistent tenant who were paying for many years, and they were losing a good source of income. So we did go about negotiating and arguments and multiple meetings. So we eventually closed down these two outlets, and brought down the rental cost. Then we further negotiated with a lot of landlords, to an extent that we would even get 50% waive off for a couple of months. Then we further spoke for a 25% waive off until December, so we could manage our cash flow. So that did play a very major role in terms of bringing in positive cash flows. So we even merged certain staff rooms into one, which were the outlets were in close proximity to each other, a 1 or 2 mile radius. If there were two outlets present, we would probably look at a larger staff room with a lesser cost, so we could accommodate both the staffs from both the outlet. So that way we would save on one staff room, probably about 50% cost for both these outlets. So that way we made multiple changes. We looked at a lot of metrics, a lot of numbers, a lot of data. We've done, I think, went back 2-3 years in terms of data crunching. Since we had the time, we utilized the time there. And then we looked at further was the employee cost. The employee cost, we optimized employee costs in a way. Was going to be, since we shut down two outlets, and all the majority of the outlets were working at a 50% capacity, and a lot of these staff were all traveling, and they were all at their native. So we looked at a structured welcoming of the employees, and we called them on a month-on-month basis based on the outlets we opened. And we had a staggered opening of all the outlets in a span of 3 months. So even that way we could improve on the cash flow, because there was no financial support at any cost from the banks or any financial institutions for that matter. So we had to survive and we had to sustain. And looking at, when we reached about June and July, even the contingency reserves were almost over. So we had to feed our staff, we had to pay them some kind of a salary. And there were even times that we even reduced their salary to an extent of cutting down about 30% without any repayments. And they supported us, they stood by us, because we shared what the current problem was, the current scenario was, and what we are going to be in the next 1 year. So we gave them the confidence, we gave them a concrete plan of what we are going to do further. So that way we even got support from them. A lot of people stayed back without even salaries, worked even overtime. And they all wanted to bring about a change and get over this pandemic situation, and that where we are every day we are hoping that something new would happen. So with that hope, we went about achieving this consistently. And employee cost, yes. Then other cost analysis and implications were also looked at. So we did have a lot of hidden costs going about here and there in terms of maintenance and repairs. So we were losing a lot of money there, and a lot of equipments were left unused. So a lot of negative energy was being let out by these unused equipments and scrap material. So we went about collecting data again, all the asset management that we have. We introduced an asset management software in place where we recorded everything and looked at what is functioning and what is not. We even looked at scrapping a few of these equipment because we didn't have the space to store them. So we let go of that. We got some income by selling out old unused equipment which were not in proper operations. So that way we save some money there. Then another thing, a new thing that we did was we looked at sales. How was the revenue being brought in? Were we making more revenue in the daytime, or was it in the nighttime? Because we opened our restaurants at 11 a.m. 12 noon, sorry. And we looked at opening 1 hour prior, because a lot of these restaurants in the city were closed down and not many people were getting food at that time. And they had to be, they had to compromise just for these darshinis where they would get vegetarian food. There was no non-veg available because it did take some time for the restaurants to come back to life. So at that time, we started opening our restaurants at 11 a.m. So delivery orders would start at 11 a.m. itself. So we had seen, but in that 1 hour, we could bring about an 8% sales just in a matter of 2 weeks. That 1 hour brought us 8% of our total revenue for the
Wow.
day. Yes.
Wow.
And majority predominantly came from home delivery, because a lot of people are working from home. Since working from home is happening, people are not used to going out and grabbing their meal and running to office. This, if you're a bachelor or a spinster, you're sitting at home and you don't even have the time to cook, or you don't know how to cook.
Correct.
And that would be a time where people would start about their work, and then the stomach start making noise and get hungry. So by 10:30, 11, it was a late breakfast for a lot of people. So we looked at a lot of parotas and rotis and curries being going at that time, rather than biryanis and rice. So post one would be the lunch. And we even had orders going up to late evenings also.
Right.
With that, what we thought was, okay, now in case we have to save cost in terms of energy utilization and employees, we will look at a single shift, a 12-hour shift. We looked at post midnight sales of all the outlets. Then if we put up a benchmark saying, if post midnight 2 or 3 hour sale is not giving 15% of the total revenue, we are not going to open the outlet post midnight. So we came down to just operating 11 outlets, 11 outlets in the city, rather than 30 outlets, rather than 25 outlets in the city post midnight. So that way we could save on cost. So we could save on overtime paid to the salaries. We could save on energy by utilized, water, electricity, LPG, multiple things.
Mm.
So all this, we've learned with the experience that we have had, and the things that we looked at. We went into meticulous planning, because like I said, this pandemic actually opened our eyes. It enlightened us in a way that we could look at things in different ways. So we could
Mhm.
save and cost in multiple ways. So these were the things that we looked at, saving cost and making it more viable and lucrative for us. So October end, we did break even. And November was a good month, and we're hoping December also is going to be great. But
Yeah.
post Jan Feb March is going to be more of a gradual thing. And we even set targets for the next financial year also. And the team is very excited, and they're already ready and preparing for them to start achieving and these targets. And we brought in newer monitoring practices and measures. We tweaked a lot in terms of our backend softwares, our POS, where we could have better visibility of the numbers, a better understanding looking at numbers. And we started giving individual branch managers the total accountability and ownership of their outlet. So
Wonderful.
rather than you guys just blaming other people, you need to start taking a responsibility where you treat it as your own outlet. It's like, this is the only outlet you have, this is your brand, and these are your people, and the customers are yours, so treat them like your own.
Correct.
So that way, we did see a lot of changes there, a lot of motivation. We did a lot of workshops. We brought in newer training practices. We used a lot of digital mode for the training. People sitting at home off duty, they could go about revising their training aspects. Go about their SOPs. We had multiple languages brought in because a lot of these blue collar level guys are from the Northeast and don't speak Hindi. And
Mhm.
so we even translated our transcripts into Manipuri and the other languages, the languages, so they could actually understand and work better. It was bringing out better productivity also. So with that, we didn't have to increase our staff strength. So in a way that we've optimized the stuff that is there. Man hours have been optimized. Everyone is trying to achieve for 100% productivity at that 8 or 9 hour shift that they are at the outlet. So we've done multiple activities to save us cost, and these costs would be reflecting in our books probably 3 to 6 months down the line. It wouldn't be an immediate outcome, but slowly. We've prepared ourselves well that we are better in a better financial positions coming next year.
Absolutely. I think I think some really really interesting takeaways, in this question that we have got from you. We have one question, but before that, I think my question is also related to that point where you talked about bringing more efficiency, optimizing your cost, and we have been seeing that cloud kitchens has become a buzzword suddenly, during COVID. While the concept was of course there earlier, but suddenly I think a lot of companies are investing into this space, not only mid-sized restauranteurs but also these large restaurateurs. For instance, Wendy's very recently came out with this announcement that they are planning to invest into cloud kitchens. Now, what is your take on this business model, and where do you see Empire also is Empire also thinking on the lines of creating more cloud kitchens to serve customers in different cities, different states? Any plans and any thoughts on this model? And then we'll go to a question that we have from one of our attendees on cloud kitchen especially.
So, I think Cloud Kitchen in Bangalore was introduced first by Kitchens Act, and they are in the city since 2018, and we were one of their first few brands at their outlets. So they started off with 4 hubs, and we were present in all the 4 hubs. And it was a new learning for us too. We did make a lot of mistakes when we went on to the Cloud Kitchen model, because the anticipation was that okay, we don't have to be investing any money, so everything is readily available. All we need to do is carry your utensils and take your people and start cooking and start selling. But it isn't very easy as you say it is, because we did have a lot of ups and downs in the beginning, because we employed more people. We had more of we had the whole menu in play, and it took us about three to 4 months for us to understand how should we go about a cloud kitchen. So we reduced the stuff. We brought down the menu drastically, because the cloud kitchen concept was that people are looking for more value for money rather than quality and taste. And they were again looking at brands which they were familiar with. So a new brand would come, people were hesitant to try. So we had, and then to build up that business, a lot of offers were offered, a lot of discounts were given. So initially, we did not go through a very lucrative point, but it take us some time. And in about 6 months time, we reworked the whole cloud kitchen model. So we had a separate sourcing. I think we had a separate team. We had a separate manager handling this whole part. So we had a separate staff team only for the cloud kitchen. So everything was separated from our main operations to the cloud kitchen operations, because the training that had to be given was a little different, because the space utilized was much lesser than a normal kitchen. Our normal kitchens range from 700 to 1,000 square feet. And these are just maximum you go up to 250 square feet. So how can you squeeze in all that? A lot of strategies had to be brought in, and we did do well in the areas we were not present in Bangalore city. So we chose areas that we were not present, and they did come good response, because the people knew the brand well. So they were confident enough to order through Swiggy or Zomato, and it did help us in expanding our wings across the city. But there are many challenges here, Nikunj. When it comes to a new brand, now, like you mentioned, where people like Wendy's and bigger brands are investing in, because the home delivery business is picking up, and as a convenience factor, everybody wants to order online, and as a cost factor for the brands, it's always better to have avoid real estate. So if you're looking at just a 200 square feet kitchen rather than a 2,000 square feet restaurant, you're paying 90% less in terms of rentals, and the more revenues you have, the better it is. So that way, for brands to grow, cloud kitchen is a very good concept. It's a very good business model for established brands to go to reach other cities where they want to spread their wings without any investment, without worrying about too much of a capex. It is a very good model for established brands to grow. But for newer brands, a lot of marketing would be required, a lot of promotions would be required, because people need to know who they are and what they are for them to order.
Right.
And another problem is there is no visibility to the public. It's only online. The visibility is all on digital. So unless you go to the hub where a takeaway is possible, you see the brand, what it's all about. So in terms of visibility, for you to promote and market your brand comes at a cost again. So your initial investment would be not on the equipments and the business, but on marketing and promotions, letting people know about your brand. And you need to have enough working capital kept, because a cloud kitchen business does come at a cost, because you have to pay a lot of commissions there. So
Hmm.
you have to be paying your aggregator plus the cloud kitchen management, wherein they're giving you the facility to operate from. Because how kitchen side works is, they give you complete A to Z equipments available. Everything is ready. You only need to come with your people and your utensils and your raw materials. That's it. So we end up paying a lot than our what do you say, other outlets, rather than a cloud kitchen model. So that comes. So pricing strategy needs to be planned really well. You need to be understanding your cost per dish really well, because you don't want to sell at a loss, because
Yep.
you're going there to expand business and end of the day make money. So if you're not making money, what's the point of the hard work? So a lot of challenges. Your planning needs to be right, your costing needs to be right, your pricing strategy needs to be right, your menu needs to be engineered really well. You need to be selling the right kind of product that the customers want, because each cloud kitchen will have about 15 to 20 brands, and if there are brands overlapping, people would choose the brand that they're more familiar with rather than a new one. Very few people want to try risking with a new brand when they're on leisure, because you're at work, you're on a schedule for the day. You don't want to be risking with your food. You want something that you want to eat something that and you're confident about. So yes, on growing in the cloud kitchen, for newer brands is a big challenge, but for established brands to expand in the cloud kitchen model is a very good thing to do. Yes.
Absolutely. So on the same lines, we had a question from Sanjam. So he says, I'm getting ahead to start a cloud kitchen, but I'm afraid to get started in my
Mhm.
city because the population is less and confused which cuisine I should go out with. Sanjam, if you can hear us, if you want to just unmute yourself and you know share some more details or specifics with Shakir as to which city are you based out of and what kind of cuisines you're looking at.
I'm from Gondia, Maharashtra.
Okay.
Actually, the population is very less, and actually, there and the competition is tough. So it's difficult to, and I'm confused. I can start cloud kitchen or not?
So Sanjam, do you have a restaurant already? Are you operating a
No, no,
restaurant?
no,
You
no,
don't.
no, no. I'm new in the business,
New in
trying.
business. Okay,
Hanji.
if you're new in the business, my first advice to you would be, learn more and study more about the business and study more about your market. Now, since you mentioned that the population is less, if the
Hanji.
population is less, then I would advise you against opening a kitchen or a restaurant, because without people, you don't open a restaurant. You're opening a restaurant for people to come and dine with you or eat at your place. So if you think the population is less, I think you need to be, looking at more of, a research, a market research or a market analysis to study your city better and see, where you can place yourself. So if there is a cloud kitchen present already there, then I'm sure there is some scope. So you need to study your city better, look at the locations, look at the demography, what kind of people are there, what kind of spending power do they have, and the cuisine that you're intending to bring about. Are there any competition? Are there already some players in the market who are selling good with this? Or you think there is a huge gap that you want to fill in? It needs to be understood really well, Sanjam, because, restaurant business looks easy from the outside, but trust me, it
Hanji.
is not. Because I'm sure there are other people on the call today who would agree with me. It all looks nice, सबको अच्छा लगता है कि बहुत लोग खड़े हैं भाई, बहुत बहुत धंधा कर रहा है ये, बहुत पैसे कमा रहा है. It is not like that. It comes with its
Yes.
own challenges. It comes with its own internal and external factors which drive the business, and it takes years for you to establish a brand, and it is not easy. So a cloud
Thank
kitchen concept is good, but you need to do your homework right.
you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sanjam. We have another question from Shruti. Shruti runs an ice cream and popsicle store called Pop Hop. She's asking us, how do you see food courts in mall picking up? Currently, food courts in malls have not yet gained traction, and her brand is primarily present in malls in Bangalore.
Bangalore. Hi, Shruti, and I see you're doing popsicles. It's something new that we see in India because nobody in India is doing popsicles rather than these local gadiwalas who used to sell apna kulfi and all that back in the days. So, food courts in malls are not doing that great as of now because we are also present in 3 malls across the city, and we did shut down one and two are still running. One, we are present in the Orion Mall Yeshwanthpur. Orion Mall Yeshwanthpur has been doing fairly better than the others because we've seen a good number of people walking in on the weekends, and even the weekday sales has been picking up because I think it's because of close proximity to the CBD district. There's a hotel there. There are about 250, 300. I'm sorry, about 500,000 odd apartments in that community. So, that way, I think people are walking into the malls, but certain areas like Koramangala, like Fraser Town, the other towns, other places in the town are not doing that great. There are not many footfalls that we see. It is just the prominent ones, the most popular ones that we're seeing a lot of footfalls, and it would take some time, Shruti, because unless there are no movies being launched, though the theaters are open, no movies being launched, people wouldn't venture out to the mall unless for a specific reason. And they would just want to go to their favorite store, pick up something, and just walk out. Nobody's going to be spending much time in the mall and hanging out due to the COVID situation. People are very wary about their surroundings now.
Shruti, if you want to ask anything else, you can unmute yourself as well. But I hope you have the answer from Shakir.
Hi. Yes, we've been reading the market as well, and what we see is only Orion Mall right now is amongst all of them are doing fine. So we had to shut down because the rentals. So they gave us a revenue share for a couple of months. Then they started putting an MG to it, etc. So it became
Yes.
slightly challenging to go forward. So right
Yes.
now we are exploring the direct route to consumers,
Mm-hmm.
but not going via cloud kitchen per se. We are going direct in terms of so building up, so we are tying up with apartments, etc., and doing that. It is
Yes.
going, but the numbers have just shrunk drastically. But having said that, profitability is looking better because
Yes.
of all your costs going down. The rentals have gone down, the manpower cost has gone down. Yeah, but I just wanted to see, how do you see this? But yeah, I guess we have to just wait and watch right now. Movies are right now at a very less than 10% occupancy in the theaters. So yeah, it's slightly challenging right now. Yeah,
It is pretty challenging because you don't want to be blaming the malls because they are also a management. They are also under same pressure what we are in because they are also
absolutely.
answerable to their investors and they also need to be paying rentals to their landlords. There are multiple things happening. So starting May they will do with your revenue share and then they would come down to the MG. It's the same with every retailer at the mall. We can't blame them as well. But since you said, you're looking at tying up with communities, that is a great thing to do, Shruti. I think you can reach out to the customer rather than the customer reaching you. Since you have the time and you said, in terms of cost, you're doing much better. I think you can invest in a bit of marketing and promotion, doing a bit of Google ads and things like that. People are looking at popsicles or ice cream and the season is wrong, yes, and Bangalore has been quite cold and not many people want to have ice creams at the moment. But a person like me, yes, I would enjoy ice cream even in a cold weather. So I'm sure I think I'll order very soon from you, have a try a popsicle.
Perfect. Would love to send you a box.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, Shruti. Shakir, I had one another question from you for you that now as a CEO of Empire Restaurants now, a lot has happened this year. I'm really hoping that things will go in a positive direction in 2021. But
Absolutely.
as a CEO of this entire group, what is your message to the restaurant industry for 2021? What do you think we as a community should be focusing on, and how should we go along the path of the new year?
Yes. First thing I would say is, let us have a positive approach to the situation. Let's not be, taken back or getting discouraged with the situation around. Let us look at things more positively and, start looking at how can you re-energize your business in different dimensions. You could be connecting with your customers in a very re-energized way. You could be connecting with your employees in a very different manner, and bringing in newer ways, newer modified priorities for the diners and your staff. So the first thing I would say is, in terms of people, look after your people. They are like your spinal cord. Without people, you are nothing. And in the restaurant business, and I would say, for me, I believe that we are not in the food business but rather in the people's business, because food is just a medium of communicating with the people. And understanding people is key in this industry, because you need to know your customers. You need to understand their expectations and preferences, and you need to act accordingly. You don't decide what you like, you sell. No, you sell what the customer wants, and you say yes to what the customer wants. So and like I said, it's not easy, but you need to have a complete focus. It's a full-time job. You need to be on the go. You could even spend 20-22 hours a day looking into numbers. That's what we did go through that. We were spending about 15-18 hours just looking at number crunching, and that's all we did in the lockdown months. So understanding your business in detail is key. You need to understand every cost element in your business, because here, from your first point of profit to the items you procure from the market to your restaurant, if you could save 1 rupee on one commodity, yes, you're saving. End of the month, you're probably saving 30 rupees on one commodity for a month. Then looking into your people, hiring and sourcing the right kind of people who are suited for the best for the job, that is very important. And then looking after them is very important. You need to have good employee welfare plans in place, because a lot, they're also expecting a certain level of security from your end, because the industry is so badly hit. Earlier what happens is, somebody is offering let's say 500 or 1,000 bucks more, they would jump. They were not very career oriented, or they did not care for what brand they worked. I'm talking about the blue collar level, because that is one thing you can't handle, because the blue collar level is the most toughest to handle. The white collar, they will stick with you because they know what they're capable of, and they've reached that level only because their capability. The blue collar level, because and they are like literally the backbone of the business. Without them, you can't clean, you can't open a restaurant. The housekeeping does not happen. So bringing about a good employee welfare plans and programs is going to be key for sustaining. Then also look around the environment also. We are completely on a plan, on the verge of going green in the next by the end of next 5 years. We are looking at managing our own waste. We are looking at recycling our own plastic in a way that there is revenue also generated and cost saved, and at the same time we are making a difference in the environment, and going completely out of plastic very soon, because now there are restrictions for the amount of procurement we can do with other materials than plastic. So there are multiple things we need to look at. And and yeah, very important thing in a restaurant business is two aspects. It is the quality of food and the quality of service. If these two things are running consistently, you are doing a good job, and you get time to look at other elements of the restaurant. If your quality of food and service is not in the right manner, then you are not doing the right job. Your restaurant will not succeed, because people come there with the expectation of, one, having good food and feeling good with the service. So if these two elements are not met, the customer is never coming back to you. It's simple as that, because the sensitivity of customers now and 10 years ago is totally different. It's totally different, because there is variety, there are options, and brand loyalty at the moment, it's not very great, because like I said, people are looking for more value than loyalty here. So understanding people is key.
Right.
Focusing on consistency of quality and service is key in this business. So these are the only couple of things you focus, and rest everything naturally falls into place.
Great. Thank you so much. These are like really, really inspiring, and some words of wisdom for us to ponder upon, think about, and actually plan for the new years. All right, then. In case if you still have any questions, you can reach out to us, and we'll share your questions with Shakir, so that we can still get back to you with any questions that might have clicked to you later. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. It was a great session. We are just right on time, and thank you so much, Shakir, for all the great insights and your experiences that you have shared with us. This is the kind of information which is going to be really, really helpful for the industry. So please feel free to let us know where we can improve on. What did you like, what did you dislike about the session, so that we can bring to you more experts from the restaurant industry and give you more valuable insights, so that it is helpful for the industry in general. Thanks a lot for having us and being with us. Thank you so much, Shakir. uh,
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.